Hi all, welcome back to i-tutor Academy. Today's topic is the market demand curve, that is 4.4 subsection MMPC 010. In last video we started unit 4 and let's begin. The market demand curve is the total of the quantities demanded by all individuals consumers in an economy or market area at each price. So economic theory support the proposition that individual consumers will purchase more of a good at lower prices than at higher prices. If this is true of individual consumers, then it is also true of all consumers combined. So this relationship is demonstrated by example is here. So market demand curves, these are the quantity per period is in the x-axis, and the first consumer, second consumer, and market demand. Okay, so this is the figures. Please refer this from your study materials. MMBZ 010 unit 4 subsection 4. Okay, a market demand curve is the sum of the quantities that all consumers in a particular market would be willing and able to purchase at various prices. Okay, that is the all about that. The example is here. Consumer 1, consumer 2, consumer 3 is here. So all have different choices from market. Okay, so these are the equation based derivatives, and table also derivations of market demand scheduled. Okay, please refer your IGNOUMBA study materials, and activity also based on this section. Please do it. And next subsection is the determinants of demand. So what is the determinants of demand? Many forces influence our decision regarding the bundle of goods and services we choose to purchase. It is important for managers to understand these forces as fully as possible in order to make and implement decision that enhances their firm's long-term health, and it is probably impossible to know about all such forces, let alone be able to identify and measure them sufficiently to incorporate them into a manager's decision framework. And however, a small subset of these forces is particularly important and nearly universally applicable. As stated above, the overall level of demand is determined by consumers' income, their attitude or feeling about products, the prices of related goods, their expectations, and by the number of consumers in the market. These are often referred to as the determinants of demand. And determinants of demand are the factors that determine how much will be purchased at each price, and as these determinants change over time, the overall level of demand may change, and more or less of a product may be purchased at any price because of changes in these factors. Such changes are shown by a shift of the entire demand curve. If the demand curve shifts to the right, we say that there has been an increase in demand, and this is shown as a move from the original demand, that is DD1. So here is increased demand, and this is decreased demand. Okay, so this is the representation chart representation of demand, decreased and increased demand. A decrease in demand can be illustrated by a shift of the whole demand curve to the left, and it is important to see that these changes in demand are different from the change in quantity demanded. And we discussed how changes in price cause a change in quantity demand. As price changes, people buy more or less along a given demand curve, and movement from A to B, that is here, and when the whole demand curve changes, there is a change in demand. Some of the variables that cause a change in demand are changing income, changing taste of consumers, changes in other prices, changes in consumer expectation, and changes in the number of consumers like market, etc. These variables that cause a change in demand are also as shifter variable. Okay, and activity 3 is here based on the subsection. Try to do it. And next is the product's price as a determinant of demand. Okay, it has already been noted that consumers are expected to be willing and able to purchase more of the product at lower price than at a higher price. In evaluating a demand or sales function for a firm or an entire industry, one of the first thing a thoughtful analyst to manager will consider is the price of a product. If inventories have built up, a firm may considered lowering the price to stimulate quantity demanded, and rebates have become a popular way of doing this, and rebate programs of one type or another have appeared for cars, home appliance, toys, and even food products. Such a rebates constitute a way of lowering the effective purchase price and thereby increasing the quantity that consumers demand without the negative repercussion of raising the price once the excess inventory is eliminated. Instead of raising the price back to its normal level, the fame simply allows the rebate program to quietly come to an end. As has been stated above, this is called a change in quantity demanded. As the effective price falls, a greater quantity is demanded. Okay. And next is income as determinant of demand. On the other hand, shifter variable, as the name implies, cause the demand curve to shift. There is change in demand. Nearly all goods and services are what economists refers to as normal goods. These are goods for which consumption goes up as the income of consumer rise, and the converse is also true. In fact, it is rare to find a demand function that does not include some measures of income as an important dependent variable, and goods for which consumption increases as the income of consumer rise are called normal goods. Goods for which consumption decreases as the income of consumers rise are called the inferior goods. This relationship between product demand and income is one of the reasons that so much national attention is given to level of gross domestic product, that is GDP, and change in the rate of growth of GDP. The GDP is the broadest measure of income generated in the economy, and in demand analysis other more narrowly defined measures such as personal income or disposable personal income are often used, but these measures are highly correlated with GDP. Thus looking at the changing trend in GDP is helpful for understanding what may happen to the demand for a product. Okay, so this is all about today's session, and next sub session we will discuss on next video. In between any doubts, you just refer last video also from starting onwards the unit 4, and in between any doubts you can contact us anytime, and for more MBA series you just do like, share, and subscribe our channel. Thank you so much.
i-tutor Academy presents IGNOU MBA Complete Syllabus Coverage Classes for individual students, semester-wise subject with online flexible timing. For more details, contact on +91 623 827 1885.